why? We humans like when stuff sounds good. Now that's the stuff. But a staple of World of Warcraft has always been its endearing soundscapes. And today I just want to highlight a few of my favorite tracks from the game, so we can all hopefully revel a little bit in nostalgia and maybe show some love to Blizzard's music department. And to be clear, I'm only mentioning soundtracks that you'll typically hear in the zones, dungeons, just while playing. Otherwise, we'd have too many cinematic tracks on here, and that might just be a list for another time. So, starting with one of my favorites of all time. The Molgar theme takes me back to being destroyed by birds with breasts that certainly confused a young me, to roaming the vast plains in search of wolves with the same model but different names like it goddamn matters, and to just vibing taking the elevator to the massive city on the bluff. It's still to this day one of my favorite zones to just be in. And those flutes get me every time. The way it kind of wobbles, it's beautiful. Wait a second, before we move further on, a word from the sponsor of this video, Ace Defender. Ace Defender is a free, high-quality SRPG. It combines turn-based RPG battle with tower defense elements. It has 40 plus chapters, almost 2,000 levels, and 48 heroes with detailed origins, and every second week, 2 new heroes are added to the game. You can level them up, combine them, and equip gear to create powerful lineups. And of course, your lineups aren't made to just diddle-daddle around. No, you have game modes such as PvE, dungeons and trials, PvP content in a multitude of different arenas, and if you like it really fast-paced, you can speed up the gameplay by up to 4 times the normal speed, or slow it down, your call. There's also a brand new hero, Brenda the Demon Spear, who's a prolific damage dealer and reducer. She also has self-healing, so she lasts longer in combat. A new feature called Realm of Deities is also coming up very soon, allowing you to build your very own castle, develop new tech, and train your own army to capture cities worth of sweet loot. Magical research can empower your heroes. All in all, the Realm of Deities map comes with a lot of content for you and your allies to explore. Now, new players who download the game through the link in the description will get 10 Royal Recruit tickets after completing level 8 in Chapter 2. You can then use those tickets by clicking Sky City Tavern Recruit 10x. So go click the link and try Ace Defender out for free. Shadowfang Keep. Now, this might be controversial, but aux cord in my hand. If I had to pick one dungeon soundtrack to blast at max volume at the party, where such a situation certainly theoretically could come up, this would be it. The Shadowfang Keep Respector has logged on. This track is an absolute banger, and whoever says it isn't are lying to themselves. Entering the keep for the first, second, and 400th time, you will not get tired of this track. It's absolutely menacing. The way it rises as you're willingly venturing into a castle filled with goddamn werewolves, it's in the top section of the nostalgia list, no doubt. Whew, that was intense. Let's calm down for a second and just, relax. Grizzly Hills. You all knew it was coming. We all know how goddamn good this one is. It's so fresh, I feel like I'm outside just listening to it. It sounds like an audio manifestation of what it's like to wake up realizing you're Norwegian. I fensfjellabber. It's also made with the Swedish instrument nyckelharpa, and despite the origin of this device, you can't deny that it's just magnificent. All-time great soundtrack for sure. The Barrens. Obviously, most WoW zones have a mix of tracks that are shared with other areas of the world, and the same goes for the Barrens. But still, these tracks mixed with the original Barrens music never fails to conjure up the feeling of being on vast, dry plains, endangering entire separate populations to gather 4 unharmed, perfect little hooves. It might sound a little weird, but when I hear this track, I can almost feel what it would physically be like to be under the burning sun. My bed linen colored skin turning pink like you left a red shirt in the white wash. This is the music that accompanies you on your first steps out of the comfort home zone. Not a wild spectacle of sounds, but just so fitting for what it chaperones. Or chaperone? I don't know how to say that. Orgrimmar. Now, perhaps another hot take, but themes in the Alliance soundtracks are typically not as compelling as the Hordes. Whenever I hear the Stormwind theme, I think of a bunch of squires and an orchestra with comically oversized horns. A bit whimsical, whereas the sensation of an orc smashing drums with the ferocity of a toxic League player punching drywall just fills me with the courage to go out and heroically destroy random wildlife of Durotar. The memories of entering Orgrimmar accompanied by these banging drums is something I'll never get out of my head. Tavern music. Now, this is some shit to take ayahuasca to. Listen to that way. I love it. This is the Tavern Inn appreciation post, you know? It's just iconic. It's the music that meets us when we come back with quest or logging off for the night to get some sweet rest XP. It feels so homey and warm and whimsical in a way that makes it feel like it's all gonna be okay. It's up there with the best. This one might be a surprise, but Borean Tundra, man, it's chilling. The spikes in this track sounds like glaciers scraping against each other with an echo that in my mind could be produced by copious amounts of ice. It's sharp, cold, the music is anything but inviting. It's perfect for the first landing on Northrend for a welcome to the realm of the Lich King. Many tracks in this zone also have these sudden icy impacts. It's just really well made to convey the harsh environment we've come to. At least it's one of my favorites. Back in Wrath, I remember sitting in Dalaran all day because I was a teenager without responsibilities of any kind, and this soundtrack was only interrupted by another 4-boss clear of ICC or waiting for Wintergrasp to open for combat so you could get your VOA done for the week. Also just spent a ton of hours just checking people's gear score out because big number, whoa poggers. But just having this music greet you every time you finally defeated the login boss makes it one of the best in my mind. And here comes my number one. It shouldn't be surprising to some of you, but one word. Floats, or whatever the hell that instrument is. It's musical ASMR. You hear it for a second and you become a Tibetan monk. It's absolutely magical, and there might not be a soundtrack that I love more than this in the entire game. But I'm also a certified Draenei enthusiast, so this is where my bias lies. A huge part of why I even love Draenei so much to begin with is their music. It has just always been spellbinding to me. But I recognize that no matter what I did here, soon I'll log on Hotmail and in between the spam I'll find a lengthy hate letter just because I didn't find a particular piece of music as nostalgic as you do, since it brings you back to a time, a memory that you now look at without scrutiny, thinking your life was so good then and that it has relentlessly changed since you innocently adventured out in that character. And you try to recapture that misconstrued magic, but you can only ever grasp it in flimsy little fragments that isn't or ever will feel like you want it to. There is a sense of melancholy that these pieces were the soundtrack to a life that now feels ancient. Incredibly dramatic, but it is somewhat relatable, at least for me. Whenever I go back and listen to Molgar, I'm hit with the cheese and get the feeling that even after all these years, throughout everything that has happened since I first heard these environments, I'm miraculously still here. And there's moments in Classic especially where I've just leveled quietly as I've done so many times before, held off on that overplayed Spotify playlist of mine, cranked the in-game music up and just zoned out for a few hours. It becomes less about the gameplay, progress, or anything else and more about just taking it sleazy. And in that aspect, the music of WoW is unique to me. Oh well, thank you for watching this far, appreciate it. Tell me what WoW soundtracks you're most fond of down below and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.